virtual meetings. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Open Space Preservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately assess the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. It is now 3:11 and I have a quorum, so I'm calling the meeting to order. And before we get started, I'm going to, going to share my screen. I'm going to try to do this. Give me 1 minute. I am going to get on Zoom, share screen. So I can't share screen, so I'm going to not share my screen. I'm going to start out by letting you know that I have a family member in the hospital, so we're going to have a very short, meeting. I'm going to zip through and only hit the topics that are of most import, okay? And we'll try to find another meeting to have this. So you're just going to have to follow my lead as I go through the agenda, okay?
Freddie?
Yeah.
I made you co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
I did share screen. Okay, because before it said was prohibited. Okay, see if this, is that up so you can see it?
Perfect,
Denise?
yes, looks good.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Denise.
Okay.
Denise, can you tell me, is there anyone here watching besides?
At this time, there doesn't appear to be anybody, Freddie.
Some people can also watch on YouTube. Is that something we see, or that just the Denise can see?
You're not muted though if you want to.
We can only see people that enter the Zoom room, I believe. But wait, Denise, is that true?
All right. If you find out, let us know if you see people that have joined.
I have the participant pod open, Freddie. So if I see anybody else join, I'll be sure.
I don't know that you can.
Know.
I don't know that you can see who's on the YouTube channel.
No, probably not. No.
So I don't know if that's something. Let me know if you see anyone else join, and we'll let them know.
Right. There's only the three of you and myself in the room.
So we will schedule another meeting as soon as possible after we end today's meeting. Okay, everyone.
I hope everything's okay, Freddie. I'm sorry to hear about your family member in the hospital.
Yeah, my sister down in Florida. So,
oh gosh,
challenging. So what we have is the review of the EDC downtown bylaw. I'm going to skip that today. I'm not sure that there's anything critically time sensitive that we respond to it. I would say that we had thoroughly reviewed a prior one. We had written our comments and gotten a response back from the consultant that they weren't going to be including any of the open space or green space or greenery that or walkability that we had commented on. And since then, we received another version that does have some contrary to what the response was to our comments. I guess subsequently they may have added some in. So we can go through that, but I think we'll need to do it in a more timely, thoughtful manner than I have the ability to do today. Okay.
That's
All right.
good. Yep.
So the next item, is that okay with you, Sarah, too?
Yes.
Nodding head is good. The next one is the definitive subdivision and lid special permit for 97 Mount Vickery Road. This is in front of the planning board on Monday. So that's one of the reasons we really wanted to get this meeting in today. However, I don't know if, let me explain how we, in case anyone's watching this later, or the subdivision bylaw for the town of Southborough has a 10% open space set aside requirement, which is what we usually, shouldn't say usually, what our common practice to review is. If it was a flexible subdivision, it has additional requirement for open space, but they had put forth a flexible subdivision that didn't meet the requirements. It didn't have 35% open space as required. It had, I think, 18%. And at the planning board hearing for that, it was just a conversation. They chose to move back and just go with the definitive subdivision, which has a 10% requirement. This submittal doesn't have any open space on it. Did you see any? I didn't. And you're looking at it, did either of you?
I didn't either, no.
So there's nothing for us to review in that matter, except for to say we could choose to, I think I believe, actually, I misspoke earlier. I said the planning board was reviewing this on Monday. They're not. Our comment letter, I believe, has to be into them by Monday. And that was one of the drivers for this meeting. So we could say that it doesn't have any open space and therefore we wouldn't support it. Does that make sense? I mean, the other thing is we could have looked at the the low impact development for the special permit, but because they don't have the open space, which could in fact change the layout of the project, that the low impact development would change. I think it's premature to do that either. I don't know if that fits with you, but I'd like to just say that I would recommend saying that there's no open space, so we wouldn't support the subdivision at this time, and we will wait to weigh in on the low impact development special permit until the open space component is met. Does that make sense? Sarah? Okay. So I think that needs a motion and a vote that I would send a letter. Our position would be that we don't support the subdivision because there's no open space as required.
So I would like to make a motion, Mrs. Karen Cvikovich, that we not support the subdivision because we do not see any open space in the current plan.
And we will weigh in on the low impact development when we review a plan with an open space. Would you like to add that?
Yes, I'd like to add to my motion that we'll weigh into the low impact development
later. Okay. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
And who are you?
Sarah Rossitano.
And I'll say, let's take a vote. All in favor? Freddie Gillespie, yes.
Karen Cvikovich, yes.
Sarah Rossitano, yes.
Okay. There was, the next agenda item is the tree canopy bylaw.
Yes.
I put that in because I had offline received a comment that some citizens were concerned about the amount of tree removal clear cutting that goes on during subdivisions, as well as just in town overall, that, you know, not this particular specific to this subdivision, there was concern that would happen, but in general, when projects happen, there's a complete clear cut of lots. We're not here to discuss any specific project when it comes to that issue. Did you guys disappear?
No, I'm still here.
Your screen sharing is paused. I don't know what happened there.
I
You
can
guys
still
are-
see your screen sharing too, Freddie.
Does it
I
say
can see-
scheduling made easy?
No.
No, it has the agenda.
All right, I don't know.
And I'm taking notes as we're
All right, I don't know what happened
proceeding.
because I don't have this. I don't have the agenda. I don't know what you're seeing.
I'm seeing the agenda and it says you are viewing Freddie's screen. So maybe you're looking at a different window that's
I don't
covering
know.
up the agenda.
It
Actually,
just
whatever
all,
you're doing right now is moving the agenda. It's moving it
yeah.
down.
I'll just for anyone who's watching this to know that my screen went blank. You guys disappeared. I had no idea what happened there without me touching it. All right. So the issue about the tree canopy bylaw, this had been raised with us in years past by Eddie Estella, who was on the ZBA at one point. He had been interested and shared that other towns have this. It's a percentage of the town that should be, or a percentage of a lot that should have a tree canopy. Tree canopy is how many, it's not the number of trees, but it's the coverage of a lot with leaves. Other towns have them. I just thought if there are citizens concerned with this, what they're calling clear cutting of lots, that this could be a venue. And I just put it on the agenda for that reason. That I don't feel we have the ability to move forward on trying to research and promote a tree canopy bylaw, but certainly it's not a bad idea to let people know that's an option they could pursue, and to work with the planning board if they were interested in pursuing that. I don't know how you two feel about it.
It would be interesting to explore because if we could learn from best practices from other communities, and also given that we have received comments from concerned citizens about the clear cutting.
And I'll be clear, I didn't receive an email comment. It was another communication, so it's not an official comment. But I urge anyone who wants to communicate with the Open Space Commission can find our email addresses on the town's website, under
Yes.
the Open Space
Mhm.
Preservation Commission, and to communicate with us that way officially. But for the tree canopy bylaw, I also thought it could be interesting because they're talking about climate change. The UN just said we're headed in really dire direction. And one thing that trees provide is, in addition to storing CO2, they reduce heat. They reduce, so like if you, I don't know if you've ever been driving down Route 9 in the summer and you take a left onto Woodland Road, it, you know, it feels like it's a 20-degree temperature difference when you get off all the pavement onto the, under the tree canopy. I've read it's typically 8 to 12 degrees. Maybe in a hot summer day it feels hot more, but I think, there's many reasons for having trees. And we have the municipal vulnerability plan that just came out, and that makes us eligible to apply for state grants. And the state is very interested in funding projects that are nature-based solutions. So typically what that means is that you're using natural elements to combat the effects of climate impact to your community instead of just bigger pipes or more, storm drains to take water away, but actually using nature to help. So there actually could be some funding available to help develop such a bylaw if the town were to apply for it. Again, I don't know. We have a lot on our plate. I don't know that it's, we can discuss it again. I just wanted to put it out there. And also, if we thought it was a good idea, we could mention that in our letter to the selectmen, that based on comments we've been hearing about concerns for clear cutting, we would suggest that whether it be the concerned citizens and or working with or by themselves, the planning board may wish to investigate this, and or conservation commission partnering together. I don't know, what does that seem like a close enough tie into the other topic or not?
I think it does, and I welcome any collaboration with other, like with the Conservation Commission, for example, in areas like this. So yeah, I think that that's something we should investigate.
Sarah?
Yeah, I definitely think we should speak more about it and
Okay.
look into it more.
So again, I'm not committing to the Open Space Commission taking the lead on this. I see us more as being supportive and at this moment facilitating the conversation. That,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people complaining about it. I haven't heard anyone say, geez, maybe we should have a solution could be a tree canopy bylaw. So I think just by doing that, we have grabbed the bull by the horn and said this is a possible solution. And then, of course, once you start going down that road, there's lots of compromise and input. And, this is not about this. This might go to the next topic, but so I think I'd like to keep this separate from the 97 Mount Vickery Road because we're not reviewing that plan. This has nothing to do with that. It just was a comment that came up around that same project in the general public's response. If that, trying to be clear, we're not saying that this is in response to that, but it came because of comments about that, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so the next topic would be the planning board open space agenda items. I'd like to suggest we have a position that we share with the planning board that we'd like to be included on any agenda item dealing with open space that we're notified ahead of time and given any documents relevant to that so that we can provide input if we choose to. And this is because there was the flexible subdivision for the for the 97 Mount Vickery Road. And I found out about it by reading a planning board agenda just by chance. And that's where the planning board talks with the project applicant about whether they should move forward with the definitive subdivision plan or go with the flexible. And the flexible that they had proposed didn't have the adequate percentage of open space. So it didn't meet the bylaw requirement. So it didn't seem like it should be getting the trade, it's kind of a trade-off. You have in flexible, you get less road frontage, smaller lot sizes. There's a benefit for doing it in exchange for the percentage of open space in the bylaws. So in those sorts of conversations, I think it would be valuable to have an official Open Space Preservation Commission opinion. And we didn't have that opportunity. I went and I spoke as a citizen who had experience in what we had always recommended in the past, but I couldn't speak for the Open Space Commission because we never reviewed it. And I think it would have been beneficial for us to know that. And there was another project recently in front of the planning board where a prior approved project wanted to swap out where the open space was for another part of the property because it didn't work when they put the shovel in the ground, or at least that's what I think happened. I didn't go to the meeting or the hearing, and we didn't know about it ahead of time. And I really think if, we had participated when that had gone in front of the planning board, and if the applicant comes back after the fact and wants to change it, I think it would be valuable for us to know about that and to at least have the opportunity to weigh in. So I'm suggesting we write the planning board and ask to be included on any, be given a heads up. Does that sound like something we'd want to do?
Yes, for sure. So I think, again, it gets back to kind of collaboration with the different parts of the town. And I think the more that we can be brought in whenever the planning board is talking about open space, the more we can add value and have our point of view expressed.
So there's nothing deliberate or, cutting us purposefully. It's just a misstep, and it's not part of the process. I think there's been a changeover in staff over the past few years. We used to get heads up, and I'm not sure. It just seems like maybe they need a different process just to make sure they're including us. One of the comments I got is they don't notify departments until they're like for the definitive subdivision, till it's an official hearing and not a discussion. And the fact is, if they're having a discussion to discuss open space, that's before they move forward with the project. That's the perfect place for us to be involved before they go way down the line.
Yeah,
and then we're
absolutely.
fighting against it, where we could be working together cooperatively. So this separate letter would be, because I don't want to confuse a subdivision with this, it would be a separate letter on being notified about open space agenda items, and also to suggest what their opinion is on looking into a tree canopy bylaw, and looking at using the grant for the MVP. That's the municipal vulnerability plan. Is that okay? I don't think we need a vote on that.
That sounds good.
Consensus? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Town-owned open space. This is the capital, or I think it's the capital committee. They were looking at all the town-owned open space in town, what value it had, if they wanted to dispose of it to make money, what the cost of keeping it was. I'm putting it on there. I think what we should do is look at the parcels they were reviewing and come up with a comment on the value of it for the town to maintain ownership or not, I guess. So I was hoping to send a report out, but again, we can hit this at another time. It's on the agenda. I just wanted to let you know what it was about. So there's all these, they tend to be little parcels of old subdivisions that the subdivision's finished, the developers moved on, and nobody was paying the taxes on it, and the town ended up with them. So, what is the value? A lot of them are that I'm familiar with. Actually, I think I walked them all, not as part of this project, but over the years. They're adjacent to wetlands, or they're adjacent to streams, and they serve as critical wildlife habitat pathways that we already own. They're not playgrounds or parks, but they have value, and we would need to look at that and make an official decision. But that's just my overview of what my prior knowledge of these parcels is. So if you're interested, I'll put that on another agenda to provide input to the.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to stop this share and try to share something else if this works, because I'm always I do it so infrequently. I'm always like
Oh, you're doing great, Freddie.
very
I think you've
excited if it
got
works.
the hang of it.
Is this, oh, share screen. Hit share screen, and now I want to go, here we go. Is that on? Are you seeing a spreadsheet?
Yes.
Oh, goody. I'm going to try to enlarge it. And, okay. So what I did today, we had received communication from Judith Watson of the Conservation Commission asking about projects we are partners, identified as partners on the Open Space and Recreation 7-year action plan. And
Mm-hmm.
just to go over what this is, I cut and pasted it into Excel because then you can sort. And each year of the 7 years has, so this is year 1, it has a goal, it has an action, it has a responsible party, it has partners. I guess you can read, but it also says funding, and the funding is like, how would you fund that? And BGT stands for budget, GRA I think is grant, and I think PRI is private, CPA would be CPA money. So you have to, it's a requirement of the state to identify how you would fund doing the work. It's just there's no commitment to it. It's just an idea of where you might be able to find that kind of funding, and then who would be involved, the responsible party and then the partners. So what I then did is I went through it. So let me go down here. So this is year 3, see year 3, and all the goal 1s are together and all the goal 2s, and the goals are in a different section of the plan, which we don't really need to know the goal when we're talking. I mean, it's a good idea, but for right now, we don't need to have that. We just need to know what the action is. Okay. So the value of sorting it is I was trying to sort not by goal, but by who's working on it because the request came from conservation. So first of all, I took all of the items that the Open Space Commission is the lead party. So that I put a little, this is how I sorted it. If we're a lead responsible party, that would be in here. And then if we were a partner in it, that would be in this column. And I moved them all, I sorted it so that all of that is together.
That's
so
awesome.
Up until the bottom of the blue, these are all items. Well, let me say, all the green items in this column are ones we should be working on. And this is in year 1. I believe we're headed into year 3. So we have been working on this, but not as organized as looking at the list and saying, oh, we've done that. And maybe this would be a good thing to be looking at more regularly and seeing particularly where we have partners. And one of the partners reached out to saying, you know, how would we work together on this? I think we should be responsive. Again, given today's, then I'm going to try to whip through this agenda item, all of them. I think we need to come back to this at another meeting, but I'll send it out. I just wanted you to understand how I have sorted it. So I did that for year 1 and I did it again for year 2 because those are the years we're working on.
This is really helpful, Freddie. And can you send this to me? It sounds like you're going to, just because I need to include this with the minutes, correct? As a document that we reference.
You will. You will also need to use it to have it on our next agenda and become prepared. I wanted to finish going over it so that you can understand the third thing I did here. And this also comes to a communication I received about the plan that also identifies this ENV. When we first did the plan, we discussed setting up an environmental committee club, sorry, not a committee, a club.
Mhm.
And there was a point in time when we did set one up, but it has not been very proactive. I think we did one event. And if we don't have this group, maybe the plan should be to set the group up or to decide how we would divvy up the work that we have assigned to an entity that doesn't exist or isn't functioning. So I think the goal was to create like a volunteer club citizen group that would want to be participatory and not necessarily be on a official town committee.
Remember that discussion. Yeah, and we had somebody who was like super enthusiastic about that, I seem to remember, but you're right, I don't think it really went
We
anywhere.
actually set a committee up, and I mean a club.
Yeah.
There is a,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. Let me just say this: when you have a vision and then you get people who sign on, their vision may be different. And there's an environmental science group, and that still is in existence and still may do something, but it's never going to be this environmental club. So basically, it's about setting up a network of interested citizens, volunteers. So I think we need to look at that again, because obviously they're not going to take the lead on it if they don't exist. And I think we thought we had it when we put it on here, and it just hasn't turned out to be so. So I think taking this for the 2 years, and then we can deal with the other years later. But I'll send that out.
Great. I'm making a note of it in the minutes as well.
So I think having it in an Excel sheet makes it much more usable for us, that you can sort. Okay.
For sure. Yeah, that's really helpful that you
Stop share
reformatted it.
here. Now I'm going to go back to the agenda if I can find it. All right. So the next agenda item. Oh, under that same topic, I wanted to follow up on this. We had started a Chapter 61 process for right of first refusal, and that is absolutely in this one of the action items in the OSRP. It doesn't say Chapter 61 process for right of first refusal, I don't believe, but it says set up a process to obtain parcels for open space. And that's exactly what this does in the Chapter 61 arena. So I think we should follow up on that. We finished it, and I think we were at a place where we needed to go to the selectmen for their buy-in. I believe that there may have been too much time since all the boards and committees approved it. So we should probably, as much as that's repeating it, I think to make it still be current, that we should find out if that's the next step we should revisit. So if somebody approved this 4 years ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was, but that committee and board has changed membership since then, it's not really fair to say that they support it when, you know, I don't know. I shouldn't say it's not fair. I don't know if that approval would be seen as that valid by the selectmen in it. So we might want to just put it out there again. Does that sound like something we should do? Okay, it does. The next item is our major native pollinator, native plant initiative. And yeah, I don't know if I can find this. If you wait a minute, I'm going to see. Back when we did the give me 1 second, because I can't think and talk at the same time. Okay. I will have to email this out to you, and then you will put this in our agenda after I show it to you. on the screen here. Okay, it's on the screen. I have to talk myself out through this. So now I'm going to go back into Zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm still screen sharing, so I'm going to stop share. And now I'm going to. Have you ever seen those jokes like, what did you never think you would be saying a year ago? Never thought I'd be saying I got to stop sharing and share my screen. You know, these Zoom terms that we never thought we were doing. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here for some reason. Oh, here it is. All right, now do you see this? It's a, are you seeing a
I
planning
see the
board
decision
decision?
of major site
Okay,
plan approval. Yes.
okay.
Wow,
So,
Freddie, you are just a
yeah,
Zoom pro, going back
as
and
long
forth.
as you
It's
don't
really
mind
cool.
listening to me talk myself through it.
No, no, no. You're
Thank
doing
you.
it perfectly now.
So this
You've been really
here,
big.
we
Mm-hmm.
played a very proactive role in the St. Mark's dorm.
We did. I remember the really good collaboration we had with them. Yeah.
And at the end, it was the planning board, the Open Space Preservation Commission, the officials from St. Mark's, their landscape architect, and I jokingly said they should start playing the theme of the love boat. Or we were all very. Somebody said I dated myself, but everyone was just really pleased with the outcome at that meeting,
Mm.
and why it was so wonderful is it was not as easy getting there from where we started, but it working together through the whole process and sticking with it, we all ended up where, you know, there was great consensus and agreement on what was approved. So I'm trying to go down here. So they start talking about all the letters and communication. I hope this is the right one. Waiver request decisions. So here are the conditions. So coming on number 5, there might be some other areas here too. The light fixtures was an issue because bright lights have a negative impact on wildlife habitat and human health as well, but that's sort of out of our purview. But landscaping, and this goes to our native pollinator native plant initiative. And this has been, you know, it's on the books, and I think we helped write most of the language here that was then adopted, and certainly with our input. So what we'd like to do, and we had discussed this in the past, we actually went to the Conservation Commission and recommended they use the same language in their permitting for wetlands. And some of the big areas here that were important were all native plants, straight species. It had to do with staking. It also talked about not having mulch except for to get the plants established. You know that common, you have a shrub here, a shrub there with all the mulch in between. So it's
Mm.
really not landscape, it's not green stuff, it's mulch, and that is not very beneficial for our native pollinators, bees, other insects. Also, it's usually done that way so that they can use Roundup anytime a weed comes along. And we're much better off if we plant native plant ground cover. So I think this is all in here. So if we could take a look at this before our next meeting and then determine which of these specifically we'd like to recommend to the Conservation Commission to use in their permitting. We were asked to do this, I think, right before, well, it wasn't right before, but before COVID. And, you know, that has impacted a lot of our work in the past year or so. So I'd like to revisit that. And that would also be, that's also in line with
So that just to make sure. What?
under, that's permit recommendations to Conservation Commission. I believe we would also look at that to see which part of the open space and rec plan we're actually checking off with that.
Yeah.
Karen and Sarah, I think you were at that meeting. I remember sitting at the table in front of the
Yeah, we were.
Conservation
Yeah.
Commission, and I believe it was also Judith at that time who suggested this would be a good thing as part of the, I don't know if it was part of the open space and rec plan tied into the master plan. Okay, so I will, that will be in our minutes, but we will also look at it before our next meeting if we can. Okay, just to be sure we all agree which, because that's the whole decision. We only need the part that
Mhm.
relates to our open space.
Do we have a
issues.
copy of that St. Mark's? You've probably sent it out in the past. Is that right?
I'm going
Freddie,
to
because
send
you're
it out.
asking us to review it before the next meeting to determine which parts could be used for
Did
the
you hear me say I'm going to send it out to you?
Oh, okay. All right. Good. No, I didn't
Because
hear
you
that.
have to
Okay.
put it in the minutes, and
Yeah.
then you'll also have it to review. So everything we're looking at, you will get. Yes, I have sent it out in the past. We
Okay.
also helped write it, but we'll get a new copy so it's fresh in all of our minds.
Good. Perfect.
So we also have next is the wildlife habitat certification. I'm going to skip this. Unless you want to weigh in right now, Sarah, we keep tabling it. It's just been so hard with COVID to do the programming.
Yeah, I think that we have a lot more to go over, and it might be something that we are going to get through all this stuff first, and definitely by the spring though.
Yeah, and the good news is, from what I understand, this vaccine, I read, as much as we are heading into some really scary times, dark times in the next few months, I read today in the same article that they think we'll be meeting in public and hanging out, maybe not 100% the way we used to, but really, meeting together the way we used to somewhat by early summer with the vaccine.
That would be so great.
So that would really, play into this. It just makes it really hard because a lot of the wildlife habitat certification programming we talked about was in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next one, oh boy, I'm sorry. This is the most exciting thing in the whole agenda. We worked on this last year. The library director, Ryan Donovan, applied for a grant that he received, and it had money for us to put in a pollination preservation garden at the library that could be used for programming, but also as a display of what you can do the goal is to have a more formal garden using native plants that people can see. It could be part of education. It's just so exciting. So that money came through, and there's a section of the library property that has been designated for us. And one thing we talked about in the past was having an area in addition to the garden, but to showcase what you can use instead of a lawn. So when we talk about lawns, we have said, we have way more lawn than most people need to use as lawn. There are uses for why you would want some lawn, like if you're playing croquet, for example. That's a blast from my childhood. But, or having a picnic, or dog. There's our reasons you want lawn, but we say we want people to think scatter rugs, not wall-to-wall carpeting. So there's other native plant ground covers that can be used in the areas where you don't need a lawn, that can either look like a lawn or just be as attractive and not be a lawn. And I think the size of the area we've been given is a little extensive to be managing it as formal gardens, because we don't have a garden staff. But I think having this lawn display area, alternative display areas, really exciting. I don't know if you've been to Garden in the Woods. They have some.
They have a beautiful area. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we
Really
wouldn't have to
nice.
do big patches. I'm thinking, like maybe, and we can discuss it more, but like, because I believe we have sun and then it goes into shade. So we could do
Mhm.
like a narrow strip of like 5 different types so that you could, big
Mhm.
enough that you get an idea, but um,
Mhm.
enough so that we could do different types of, from flowers to uh, sedges, which look like grass. Very exciting, I think.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good news. Very good.
So we will start planning that. I would say, well, we can start planning it at any time, but really, you know, February. Oh, one of the great news is that it's at the, did I say where it was? At the library parking lot, at the corner furthest away from the library near the cemetery towards the St. Mark's
Mhm.
um, end of the property. So it's up against the stone. It goes from the parking lot to the stone wall. And there might be a potential, which I'm keep advocating for, to put a little trail from the library parking lot up to the road by the historical museum and the church outside the stone wall of the cemetery. Have you been to Heritage Day and then people are walking up to the
Mm.
historical museum and this would make a nice cut through next to the cemetery. It could be really,
That
it's
could be
not
very
clear if it's
nice.
town-owned
Yeah.
land or St. Mark's, but I think that's something we could, again, collaborate with the Trails Committee
Yeah.
as well as the library, the town, and St. Mark's if needed. And then that would also, anytime you're at the back of a parking lot, who's going to come look at our garden, right? Well, if there was a trail there, I thought that would help facilitate that. But the really great news is also the library is planning a little story walk where I guess there's a little trail around the library grounds with little stops where you read a page of the book. And it would end right at our garden, and we could have a little path through the garden for people to continue on before they head back to the library. So I think there's a lot of potential here.
For sure. For sure.
Interpretive signage. All right, next one. Oh, we're we had talked about this before. About a year and a half ago, and I have recently followed back up again that part of the our NPNPI sort of sounds like we're an official agency. Um, is working with another group to partner with is the South Broken Land Foundation, and this would also be part of the native pollination pathway. So you keep hearing pollinator pathways, but we're talking about pollination um, preservation pathways. And that's the name I'd like to give it in Southborough because, we've worked with Dr. Jagir, and he always says it's not just about the pollinators, which are the animals, it's about the whole process, which includes the plants. It's about pollination. It's not what we're trying to, the ecological benefit of having a pollinator is the pollination, which is the plant animal interaction. And it goes up to birds and everything else. So, working with SOLF, if they could be one of the connection that we talked about before, Breakneck Hill to the golf course, up to the library, take a left on Main Street down to the Beals Preserve with SOLF. St. Mark's School. We're creating a trail of these pollinator habitats, and then the people's backyards can, add into it, and we can be part of a mapping project. So that is on our plate. Okay.
Mhm.
And then this is I'm almost done, guys. MCA is Metro West Conservation Alliance, has a native pollinator task force that I represent the Open Space Preservation Commission on, and we're having a webinar on Monday. And I don't know, are you on the email list? Did you get the invite? Because I didn't see you sign up. Not that you have to sign up, but I'll double check.
Webinar on Monday. I don't remember getting an email about that.
So
Maybe I missed it, but
it's basically talking about, we collaborate with Dr. G. Gear. We're the group in town that brought him here. A lot of the work is done at Breakneck Hill, but we do more than just Breakneck Hill, which is under the Stewardship Committee.
Mhm.
And you both have been part of that. Over the summer, we installed the Ecology Garden, Ecology Research Garden, and that is going to be a key component of this webinar. We're talking to how people can use Dr. G. Gear's plant list in real life, because you can look at the list, but then, like, what does it mean and how do you use it? So information you have been familiar with at the garden here in Southborough, we're going to share with other people as
Interesting.
well.
Good.
And also hopefully Southborough people. So as long as you guys are okay with it,
Did you get the email, Sarah, to sign up for that? Did I miss it? Do you remember that?
So it may be that you're just not on the regional email list and I need to add your names.
Yeah, could you forward the sign up, Freddie? Because I might be able to join that depending on the time on Monday.
Okay, and we're not advertising, but it will be recorded so you can watch it later.
Oh, good. All right, good.
We don't advertise it at the time because I know what I do is I think, oh, I'll watch it later so I don't have to go, but then somehow you don't end up watching it later. So if you get the commitment to go, plus you can ask questions. I'd like to post it on our website and send a notice into my Southborough on behalf of the Open Space Commission, if that's
sure,
okay.
that sounds great.
You okay with that, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Seed workshops. We've been, last year we put them on at the library, but we can't do that. We've been collecting seeds. We've had different people trying to work, because of outside, safe social distancing, wearing masks, cleaning the seeds. And the goal is to distribute them somehow. And then at the same time, maybe have the soil. Remember last time we did people brought their own milk jugs and then we gave them the dirt.
I still have some of those milk jugs too in my basement, Freddie. I don't know if you remember that I have them.
No, I didn't, but that's nice to know. Yeah. So what I'm thinking, we have the seeds, and this year we're focusing solely on the seeds in Dr. G. Gear's plant list, because, if we're going to be getting people to grow native plants, why not have them grow the native plants that help save species from going extinct? And then if you guys agree, because it's an Open Space Commission project, I think, or I'd like it to be, if you would like it, like we did last year.
Yeah, for the seed workshop, yes.
Yeah. You agree with that, Sarah?
Yeah.
So what I think we would do is either find a different location or have people come, whether it's at Breakneck Hill or maybe we find, if it's a drive-through place, we could do like the townhouse on a Saturday, that driveway, or the library, where people could pull up, get seeds, get a bag of dirt and drive away. And then we could have a webinar Zoom. This is how you do it. Like, remember we had 2 workshops last year. One was to clean the seeds and one was to plant. We're already doing the cleaning in bits and pieces because we can't advertise a big get together. But I think we could have one day people come and get it and then afterwards do a webinar. Would you like to sponsor that?
We sponsored it last year.
Yeah. At the library?
Not
one of them you gave
the
huh?
It wasn't the gardens? The native Southborough gardens?
No, it was the Open Space Preservation Commission. Remember you were at one,
Yeah.
Sarah, you
Yeah.
gave the talk up front.
Yeah.
The native plant, so we collaborate with them and they help us out, but no, that was us, that we were the host for both, for all three of them, I believe.
Yes.
And then you were there for the planting one, Karen, with all the dirt
Yep,
and all
I was
of that.
there. Yep, I took a bunch of pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. I think there was some expense. We bought the dirt. I think that was about it. We hired a consultant. I don't know that we wouldn't have someone free, but if we needed to, I think, it's in our budget, certainly.
Yeah, we got a huge response. I think people really enjoyed it. And it was nice because it was a long lasting response, because then people posted pictures of their little seedlings and stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah, so one great thing was this year, I also saw someone post a picture of a monarch on her milkweed that she grew from that workshop, that she collected the seed herself. So she collected the seed, grew the plant, and there was a monarch caterpillar
So nice.
on her
Yeah.
milkweed. So
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, how cool
That's
is
great.
that?
Really cool.
So if we have some budgeting that needs to be done, is that all right?
Yeah, I think that's all right.
If it happens before our next meeting, I think we'll meet ahead of time, but I don't know if it was like $50 and $150 for
Yeah.
consultant. I don't know that we need to, but can we approve that ahead of time? It's okay.
It's yeah, I think it's okay. It's okay with me.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is programs, workshops, training. Last year we had 2 things scheduled. Remember, we had the wonderful 50th anniversary of Earth Day Palooza, and it was our kickoff for the wildlife habitat certification. And we had to cancel people we had already signed up. So we may want to see if we can do something virtually again and or outside at the library with any of these projects. One was Russ Cohen, who does, he wrote the book, Plants I Have Met and Eaten. He's a forager kind of guy. And he also very generously has offered to give us some of his native plants he grows that are also edibles that we could have for our Breakneck Hill or other partners. So I don't know that we can't have a walk right now, I don't think, but we could have maybe a webinar or something. As well as we also had the great guy, the moth guy. He's a children's book author, John Dwayne or Dwyer, I think it was. So I'd like to, and then also we talked about having the caterpillar lab. If we can be open again, that's probably for next spring later. If things get going good, maybe we could have an outdoor caterpillar lab. If it's safe to have, people together. And the other thing is there's a couple of workshops coming up. Let's see. The Ecology Gardens, I'm just going back up for a second. Ecology Gardens and Meadows. So it's at Breakneck Hill. It's just hard to always explain everything. We are the collaborators with Dr. Robert G. Geer as part of our Pollinator native plant initiative. We're the group that brought him here to town and who also worked with doing the BID workshops and some of the other things, but the actual location of so far the garden is at Breakneck Hill, which means we also partner with the stewardship committee. But the meadow, we also have a ecology research meadow, which we're putting in. at Breakneck Hill, but it requires some level of expertise that we don't have funding to hire a consultant. And basically most of the work at Breakneck Hill, which has been, we've had huge success with saving Bombus spervitus from being extirpated from that property, has come from workshops and training. I particularly, but anyone else is welcome to attend, on how to manage these habitats, how to do the installation. There's a couple of them coming up I'd like to go to for the native New Directions in American Landscape, NDAL, or New American Landscape Direction. So is it all right if we'd already approved this before, but I just wanted to let you know, and I can send that out.
Yeah, and then you'll be letting us know what is covered. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the benefits of that is, for the cost of sending me, 50 to 100 people learn what I learn, or certainly you all get the benefit, but the huge volunteer component this summer.
Mhm.
I mean, thank you, COVID, but people were looking for something to do. I think
Thanks, but no thanks.
Huh?
Thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have had the volunteers without it, and I think they'll stay on because they really became engaged, but people really were looking for something different to do outdoors. There's all these people trained based on information that I was able to share based on what I've learned from going to some of these workshops. So it's an expense, but what's the word? It keeps growing, something like that.
Mhm.
All right, master plan update is the next item. Do you have anything for us, Karen?
Yeah. So I don't feel like we never really made it all the way through the document in our meeting. I was just looking at the notes. In our meeting on October 30th, we began reviewing the document that I sent out to all of you on the open space and green initiatives. It's a Word document. And we made some initial edits, which I've submitted to Judith. But we have our next meeting on the 16th of December. And, we're getting close to finalizing things. So if there are concerns, you guys have seen it now several times in various formats, but if there are concerns, we need to make sure that we voice those before it gets finalized.
So I know this is a horrible time of year, and I know I just couldn't go through those documents in detail.
Right.
Is there a possibility we could meet before the 16th? And it would be not this long drawn out, but we would just review the
just
downtown
continue reviewing the
bylaw.
document. Because I have to be honest, my big fear is I've, as you both know, I have devoted a huge amount of time to this master plan committee. And I've done it with the goal of making sure that we, as the Open Space Preservation Commission, and also our point of view, is fully represented. So I would hate to find out once it's finalized that either of you have any concerns that weren't expressed in the document, because we have the opportunity to give that input. So, but it does take time.
I'd like to tell you thank you, Karen. And I'd like
to
say,
I'm not looking for a thank you. I'm just saying, like, no. If a year from now you say, oh, I can't believe it says this or that, I'll feel really disappointed, because I want to make sure that we're fully represented, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, the thank you is that you have gone above and beyond what I think no one has gone further. I'll say that.
Yes, thank you very much.
And making sure that you weren't representing your opinion, but rather the commission's opinion.
The whole group.
And giving us plenty of opportunity and prodding as needed, I would say, to to review and provide our input. So to respect your level of commitment, I'd really like us to find a meeting before and go through it as well.
So it's just a 2-page document. You remember there was this like super confusing spreadsheet that was sent out and it was difficult to read. But Judith took that and created these Word documents so we can just use edit. And so I can resend that document out to you guys so that you have it at the top of your email. It's just entitled Open Space and Green Initiatives. And she sent out separate documents for all the different parts of the master plan. But this is the one where we can for sure make edits. And the other ones as well, we can give our input. But this is the one that most directly impacts us.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you. So I'd like us to do that. So
Should we set a time now for a meeting before the 16th?
I can't until I find out more about my sister's situation.
Of course,
and,
Freddie, of course, yes.
I'm going to suggest maybe even that tree canopy bylaw makes it somewhere else. Unfortunately, I'm highlighting all the stuff we have to follow up on, but not necessarily by our next meeting. Can you see that while I'm working?
Yes.
Looks good.
I thought there'd be
The other
one thing
thing,
only.
the other
but
thing that would be great for us to cover in our next meeting if we meet before the 16th is to approve the minutes.
Oh, I actually, somehow I missed that on the agenda. Do you see I didn't add minutes?
Yeah, so
But do you
I
see
have
there's
minutes.
this, do you see this thing here that says other
Yeah,
business properly before the commission?
right.
I just got notified from I wanted to make a notice that we wouldn't do that because it's not specific enough,
Yeah,
but also not approving your minutes isn't okay either. So I think approving our minutes is more important. So I'm going to suggest that
yeah.
under
So there
that
were
agenda
there
item.
were 3 minutes that Amy told us we were missing, and one of them I had sent in, so I resent that. That was the minutes from July 10th were already submitted, but I have minutes that I sent you from July 30th,
Yep, I just read.
August 20th, and October 30th that we have yet to approve.
All right. So the first one was July 30th.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm trying.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I can share my screen so that I can make edits if you have any right now, or we could address it in our meeting prior to the 16th.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the minutes of July 30th.
Great. All right, I'm gonna change those to approved.
No, they're not approved until we, is there a motion, a second, and all
I
of
second
that?
that motion. Sarah Rossitano.
Were there any edits or any comments, anyone? All right, so July 30th, I made a motion to approve those minutes. Sarah seconded. All in favor? Freddie Gillespie, yes.
Karen Spikovich, yes.
Sarah Rossitano, yes.
Okay, so those are approved. I think we could, if you, I don't know that you have the ability, Karen, so let me try to find. I had just read those before the meeting, so I was sure they were okay. I just had trouble trying to find the other ones, which I know I had looked at one time, but so
I sent them right before this meeting as well, just so that you'd have them kind of at the top of your inbox.
So just so you know, I had like 10 over it by the time I got to yours that you think are at the top of my inbox. So it doesn't last long. So here, maybe this is it. It says 7:30 plus 2. I can only find the 7:30. I don't know why.
So the other two were, August 20th and October 30th. Do you want me to send them right now to you so that
Yeah,
they
why
just
don't you?
pop right
Because
into your...
when I open that email, the only one that comes up is the 7:30.
Interesting. Okay, so let
I'm sure
me
it's there
send
somewhere,
them
but it says
now. I'm going to send it to
+2.
both of you. So Sarah and Freddie.
Oh, I found 10:30.
You found 10:30? Do you have them available, Sarah? Do you want me to?
I think I'm fine. It's the way this opens up. I don't know. Yeah, why don't you send them all again?
Yeah, I'm just sending so we already took care of the July 30th. So I'm sending you October 30th and December. Whoops. I want that one. That's the one I'm doing right now.
Was it 8:20?
And 8:20. Yeah.
I think I just found. Okay, so I'm looking at October 30th.
Okay. October 30th.
I'm going to stop share that other thing. I'm going to.
And I have it open in front of me so I can make any edits.
Okay, wait a second. It says share screen. I don't know what happened. It's not sharing screen, is it? My screen isn't shared, is it?
No. Nope. It's not sharing.
No, I can't even get back to Zoom. This is what happens sometimes. Hide video. Okay, there you go. All right, share screen. Who can share? I guess I can't share. Somehow I got bumped off.
Yeah, it says I'm not allowed to share either. But I have it open right in front of me, Freddie. So if Sarah, you have it open as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
give me a
So if
second.
you just tell me any edits, I can make the edits and then we can approve them.
I'm fine with them as they are.
Okay. Sarah, any edits from you?
No, they look good.
So,
I'm going to approve.
no,
You want to make a motion to approve them?
why don't you do that? And
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 30th, 2020.
is there a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Sarah Rossitano.
Okay, and all in favor?
I,
Freddie
Sarah
Karen
Gillespie.
Cvikovich is in favor. Whoops, sorry.
All of us going at once, huh? Freddie Gillespie in favor?
Go ahead.
Sarah?
Sarah Rossitano in favor.
Karen?
Karen Cvikovich in favor.
Okay, so our minutes, have to reflect the roll call. Okay, and then the next.
And then the
minutes-
last one was the one of August 20th.
Yeah, now I've got coming up. I don't know why it hides them, and then I have to download them. It's before I can see it. All right, Thursday, August 20th at 11 a.m. I have a edit.
Mm-hmm.
OSRP review. It says,
I'm sorry, how many bullet points down is that?
sorry, I was on.
Oh, I see. I've got it.
Version.
Got it. I found it. Yeah. And the edit?
It says it has been preliminary approved by the state. It says approved. I don't know what approved means. The last thing to finalize is for the Board of Selectmen to support. And then he wrote approved. I don't know what that means.
Oh, should I take out the approved?
Yeah.
I think I meant
Unless
to
you-
approve.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right though. Yeah, let me take
Okay,
that
take
out.
that
That's
out.
confusing.
I
Yep.
believe
Okay.
they have approved it, but you wouldn't have put that in there the way it's
Right.
written, they'd already
Right.
approved it. I think that happened
Okay.
subsequently.
Yep.
Okay. What is, maybe because my brain's fried, review planning board final open space survey. That needs to say something else. Oh. They hired, yeah, I think that is technically correct, but I don't know that people would know what we're talking about. Is there a better way to describe it? Maybe,
Not
right,
sure.
the planning board hired, what's the name of the company? Lucas Engineering to survey several open space parcels in town. Would be the first bullet. We made recommendations that have been incorporated into that survey.
As a second bullet. Okay. Got it.
Just makes it a little bit,
Yeah, that's clear. That's good.
because I was like, what survey? I didn't take a survey.
Yeah.
We went on a survey. They did a physical survey of the land. So, okay. This would be good. We talked about the press release and things we wanted to do here for the future, Sarah, on the wildlife habitat certification. It's not part of approving the minutes. I get sidetracked. Sorry. Oh boy. I'm reading this. I'm just going to mention, did you guys see the Globe article about the mosquito spray?
No.
Oh my goodness. All right. I will send that out.
Is it what you shared?
I did post it on Facebook, not in a official open space commission.
No, but I've seen a bunch of people share that.
Yeah.
Seems to be
Really
people are
bad.
very aware of it this year.
So we didn't get sprayed hard this year, but we did get sprayed really a lot. The airplanes that were going by last summer.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll send that article out for our next, but I digressed from minutes. So, boy, we are consistent. Seed workshop. Yeah. All right. No one can say we haven't talked about all of our activities. So is there a motion to approve the August 20th, 2020 meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 20th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to approve the minutes.
And all in favor? Karen?
Karen Cvikovich is in favor.
Sarah?
Sarah Satano is in favor.
Freddie Gillespie in favor. So approved. I'm going to try to get back to the agenda. The last thing after, oh, that's a minute. It's not an agenda. Okay, now I see your happy faces that make me happy. There's one last agenda item, and that would be a motion to adjourn. Is there?
This is
such a
Karen
motion?
Cvikovich. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 4:28 p.m.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to adjourn.
And I'm sorry, I start laughing. It was like, I'll second that emotion is what it's.
I'll second that
song?
emotion.
All in favor, Karen?
Karen Cvikovich is in favor.
Sarah
Sarah?
Satano is in favor.
And Freddie Gillespie in favor. So this meeting is adjourned, and I'd like to thank Denise for being the host or administrator. I don't know the official word, but thank you for
Yes, thank you.
helping us to have this meeting today, and Tim for his support. So thank you all.
You are welcome.
Bye now.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
And Freddie, we'll be thinking about you and your sister.
Yeah, I think she's going to be okay. It's just scary.